What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at The Legend of Zorro, the sequel to The Mask of Zorro. Alright, this review is going to be short, this review is going to be sweet. The Legend of Zorro is not good. It's not a bad movie per se, but it's definitely nothing all that spectacular. The first Mask of Zorro movie is a great movie. That movie is perfect. To me, that movie is perfect. This movie is anything but perfect. This movie is a pale imitation of what that first movie was. The story to this movie is completely weak. The characters in this movie are almost unrecognizable. The performances in this movie, in the first movie, they were really good. In this one, it's like they're just paint by numbers. Banderas and Jones had a great chemistry within that first movie. In this one, that chemistry seems to have been evaporated because the characters of Alejandro and Helena, all they do is bicker and complain at one another. And this movie throws in an unnecessary divorce angle that does not need to be happening, and it's just done as a contrivance because Helena is first being blackmailed to divorce Alejandro so that the Pinkerton guard can use her as a spy against this guy called Count Armand, who used to be an acquaintance of Helena, and this Count Armand guy is trying to do something devious, which is that he wants to wipe out the United States with an atomic weapon, essentially. It's kind of stupid. The first movie was very very simple, very basic, and it had a good adventurous spirit to it. This movie just doesn't have anything to it. This movie feels like it's really mean spirited and not as fun as that first movie. And in addition to that, this movie in a lot of areas feels completely juvenile and just kind of stupid. You have a scene of a teacher and a student having a ruler sword fight in a classroom. What the hell am I watching? The whole concept of Helena and Zorro having a kid in Joaquin, that's good. You can do something with that. You can have Alejandro kind of mentor his son Joaquin to take up the mantle of Zorro, which is what this movie should have been about. The movie's called The Legend of Zorro. It should have been about Alejandro passing on the legend and legacy of Zorro to the next generation. Instead, this movie is just, it tries to be a comedy and it's not funny. The characters in this movie are kind of bad and kind of forgettable. The villain sucks. The side villains suck even worse. There's this one villain called McGivens, who this movie is trying to build up as like this religious fanatic lunatic, and he comes across as a bumbling. He comes across as a goofball because the lead villain, Count Armand, threatens his life and nearly kills him at that, and it's stupid. And like I said, the story of this movie it's trying to be overly complicated, and it kind of sucks because the simplicity of the first movie had a good simplicity to it. This movie is trying to be bigger than what it really is, and it kind of fails on its own 2 feet. Martin Campbell returns as a director in this movie, and you can tell that this movie is nothing like the first movie, which is a shame because the original director comes back, and it's almost as if he's making an entirely different movie. From a production standpoint, the movie is shot well. It's not like it's shot ugly. The production value of the movie is good, like it is in the first movie. Capturing the setting of the late 1800s of California. All that looks good. The costumes and wardrobes are fine. Production value of the movie is good. The acting is okay for the most part, though there are some though Banderas and Jones have lost the chemistry they had from that first movie. Even though I think the villain is generic, Rufus Swell is trying to give him some sort of charisma, and the supporting cast is good for the most part, even though their characters are completely useless and throwaway. That's what this movie is. This movie is throwaway. It did not need to be made. If you're going to do a sequel to The Mask of Zorro, it should have been about passing on the legacy to the next generation. Instead, we get this movie, which just feels like a filler story that doesn't really say much, doesn't really add much to the overall Zorro mythos, and it kind of makes you wonder, you know what? The Mask of Zorro should have just been a one and done standalone movie, because it's clear as day that if you do a sequel to it, it's not going to live up to the original, or you're not going to do anything remotely interesting with it. So yeah, that's all I got to say about the Legend of Zorro. I don't really have a whole lot to say. Again, like I said, Production-wise, it's fine. Some of the action sequences are well shot for the most part. This movie has some CGI in it, which is kind of weird because the first movie had really good practical effects. This one relies on CGI effects and it looks stupid. And like, again, the characters of Alejandro and Elena are completely butchered, and they come across as completely unlikable and unrecognizable, which is a damn shame because in the first movie they were great. In this movie, they suck. Legend of Zorro is going to get a 4 out of 10. It's not unwatchably bad. It does. I mean, you can. Yeah, 4 out of 10. That's all. That's all I got to say. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Like the video and subscribe. I'll take it back next time for more.